Well, it is exactly at the top of the hour. Welcome to KBC's Lunchtime News. My name is Abdiaziz, Hashim, and the sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Lucy Mora. Stick around for the next 1 hour or so to get the latest here in the country and beyond our borders. Let's get started to inform you what is happening this afternoon so far. Now, substance abuse and unsafe sex have been identified as major challenges facing parents as students embark on the third-term holiday, the longest in the school calendar. Now, this emerged during a career day in Naivasha-based Vineyard Girls, where experts highlighted the challenges posed by the long holiday. Vineyard School Director Eunice Njenga emphasized the importance of open communication between parents and children and the need to monitor their online activities in a bid to address the vices.
I believe all of us at this area we have some level of education. Let us, at the end of the day, when you come back from work, just go through the books, see whether your child has done the assignment that they have been given.
Generally, the parents to the teenage get to know the friends to your teenage girl, you get to know the friends to your teenage boy, and when you get to know their friends, you are about to know the kind of a character that your child could be influenced to.
Elsewhere, the National Council for Persons with Disabilities is conducting a mapping exercise for persons with disabilities across the country to identify the number and types of disabilities present in different counties. The data from the registration process that involves filling out forms and providing necessary documents such as identification cards and medical reports will be used in planning and implementing disability-inclusive programs and policies. It will also enable the government to have accurate data on persons with disabilities for better planning and allocation of resources. Now, sugarcane farmers in Kakamega County are urging swift implementation of the amendments to the Sugar Act to mandate the Sugar Board to penalize millers who fail to invest in cane farming and those that harvest immature crops. Speaking across the county, farmers voiced concerns that such practices could lead to the closure of more mills as seen last year. Some Kakamega members of the County Assembly have backed the farmers' call, applauding the new legislation and advocating for its immediate enforcement to protect the region's sugar industry.
Nataka kampuni ambayo iko sensitive to the community needs. Kampuni yenye ina exercise what we call corporate social responsibility. Mukishachukua miwa, mnaharibu barabara, lazima muturudishie faida, mtengeneze nini? Barabara.
Sisi kama wakulima tumeamua kwamba serikali jinsi mnavyo regulate kupitia kwa Sugar Board, tunataka tonnage ile ambayo inafanywa na kutengenezwa ili mkulima yule ambaye ako chini, mkulima wa chini kabisa, apate mazao mazuri.
Hizi kampuni zote zenye tuko nazo huku wajukumike kwa kufanya sugar development. Waanze kutengeneza miwa kwa wakulima kuanzia chini, ndio wakulima wafaidike na pia kampuni zipate miwa ya kutosha.
Meanwhile, a section of Kitui youths filed a petition on Thursday to impeach Governor Julius Malombe, citing nepotism, misappropriation of funds and poor healthcare services amongst the grievances that prompted them to file the petition. The youth have called upon the County Assembly members of Kitui to heed their calls and oust the governor from the office.
Kitui County today is being run in a way that it is not clearly and constitutionally explanatory.
Amekuwa akipea kazi watu wa kikwao, relatives and other people who are next to him. Atupei sisi kama Gen Zs kazi, tukiapply kazi zinapewa watu wa kwao.
Pale hospitali mtu unafika pale kama ni mzazi ama ni mama mzee, unaambiwa kitu ya kwanza hapa hatuna gloves, hapa hatuna hata zile dawa ndogo ndogo. Kwa hivyo lazima uende ukanunue.
Kenya is a country which is governed by the rule of law. We believe and we know and we are learned. We know that you cannot be enacting capacity for exceeding 6 months. And that's why you find that we have got so many incidences of misappropriation of public funds for the people of Kitui. Therefore, we have wrote a letter to the EACC because we request them to come and do substantial investigation in matters collection and expenditure of county revenue.
Now, environment conservationists in Kisii County have decried lack of attitudinal change in environment management, noting that initiatives are meant to promote tree planting are being derailed by seedling destruction and non-adherence to laws enacted to protect the environment. Speaking at Ufanisi Resort in Kisii Town during a meeting to review current conservation efforts, the heads of various environment conservation organizations called for collective responsibility to protect the environment.
Tuliweka sheria kupitia bunge letu la ugatuzi ya kukata miti yote ya gum trees kutoka mito zetu. Wakati huu tunavyoongea, Kisii ambayo ilikuwa na maji mingi zaidi, chemichemi zetu zimekauka kwa sababu ya hii miti. Mimi kama ufanisi tuko na mpango wa 1 million trees Kisii ambao tunapatiana free seedlings. Lakini hiyo haitoshi. Tunataka kupanda kama 10 million trees katika county za Kisii.
We have formed cooperatives which is soon coming to launch. These cooperatives is easier to deal with them and they give them these seedlings. And also we work for them to get market.
Residents of Kimbo and Matangini villages in Juja, Kiambu County have raised concerns over their main road, a 6-kilometer stretch riddled with potholes, mud and dust that has turned their daily commutes into a nightmare. They say the road which connects the residents in that particular area in the vast Theta Ward or to Thika Superhighway has instead become a symbol of neglect and frustration, affecting livelihoods, safety and economic prospects for over 25,000 people. Residents are now calling on the government to promptly intervene and have the road redone to facilitate the smooth movement of goods and services.
2 years down the line when we agitated for the road to be upgraded, good due diligence was done. And the tarmac was put, although they used what I would call hard labor, because they were using manual methods. We complained along the way, all the way when they were making that road, and we told them it will never last 2 years.
This road, instead of uplifting the lives of the residents, this road is actually degrading. People are suffering a lot. If you have a sick person, getting that person to hospital is hectic. That's why we're asking the government. Enough is enough.
A section of church leaders in Lamu County has alleged harassment and intimidation among other restrictions in their bid to establish sanctuaries for worship and congressional meetings. The clerics called on the government to intervene, citing a violation of their freedom of worship. They also decried a prohibitive cost associated with holding public religious services, particularly at Mukunguni Square, one of the most popular public spaces in Lamu County.
Kaunti yetu ya Lamu na hasa katika kisiwa cha Lamu hatuja kuwa na uhuru wa kuabudu, kwa sababu wakati mwingine tunakuwa na mashambulizi, kunakuwa na mawe kutupwa wakati ibada zinaendelea, kunaletwa mambo ya kusumbua.
Kuna sehemu inaitwa Mkunguni, unapotaka kuweka injili lazima utoe 10,000 ndio injili iendelee, na kwa sahihi wamekataa injili isiendelee.
Swala hili ni swala ambalo linahitajika kumulikwa kwa undani sana, maana linaleta hata kanisa kuweza kuanza kutoa ushuru, na tunajua kanisa sio eneo la kitega uchumi.
We cannot discriminate a certain religion on the basis that I don't know their visitors and all other manners of excuses that are always brought here.
Now to a special excerpt this afternoon in Magical Scenes, where our focus, of course led by Irene Muchuma, was on Kisumu properties. Have a look.
The people of Kisumu have relied on the lake for sustenance, with fish being a primary source of nutrition and livelihood. The local fishing community, comprising skilled fishermen who rise with the sun, casts their nets into the sparkling waters, bringing in fresh catches of tilapia, Nile perch, and catfish. These fish are more than just a meal. They are a symbol of the region's heritage, culture, and connection to the land. The journey from the lake to the dining table is a vibrant experience in Kisumu.
It is delicious. It is very delicious. And you need to try it, actually.
Fish is normally what everybody who comes here wants to eat. So basically what we have done is that we have specialized in freelance fish. We don't do caged fish. And we do it so well from the kitchen. Our chef specializes in that. In addition to that, we have got even the traditional type of fish that newcomers in Kisumu really like the kamongo, like the bambla, and they are all on the a la carte menu. Tilapia, they say is the sweetest. And I think they say that because we don't get the gauged one, we get the freelance, and we get a very good size. We call it size 6. It's not too big, it's not small. So that is just sweet.
The aroma of grilled fish wafts through the air as locals and visitors alike gather to purchase their favorites.
We do not have any food that is kept in the fridges for long. We look at our orders and our guests as they come in. So now we are able to actually give out fresh food.
Here, fish is prepared in a variety of ways: grilled, fried, or stewed, with each method highlighting the unique flavors of the lake. One of the most popular dishes is the grilled tilapia, typically marinated with a blend of local spices and herbs, then cooked to perfection over an open flame. Often served alongside ugali and kachumbari, a refreshing salad made of tomatoes and onions, this meal is a staple in Kisumu households and a must-try for visitors. Fish is deeply woven into the social fabric of Kisumu, playing a central role in communal gatherings, family celebrations, and traditional ceremonies. Sharing a meal of fish brings people together, fostering connections and strengthening bonds.
Tuna samaki tofauti. Kuna wale wanaleta asubuhi, wenye wanaleta pamoja na omena, mafulu na hizo ngege type ya samaki. Wale wanaenda jioni kwa baharini. Na kuna wale wanaenda asubuhi, wanaanza kugoa hapa saa 5, pia wanatuletea samaki.
Nevertheless, the act of dining on fish is seen as a ritual that honors the lake and the community that thrives around it.
Kisumu is not just a destination, it is an experience that lingers in the heart and soul. A place that would come any time of the year, enjoy the delicacies as well as the enriching landscapes owing to the favorable weather patterns. Nchuma Udim, magical scenes in the county of Kisumu.
Chuma, thank you for that report. Also this afternoon, we're keeping an eye on a dialogue that is happening here in the capital on the regional economic communities. Of course, dialogue on leveraging emerging technologies to improve healthcare delivery in Africa. Our reporter Cam Chimens is currently attending that particular dialogue. And of course, once as and when we get that particular feed, we'll be bringing it to you. But first things first, we're taking a short commercial break. Don't go too far.
Change is here.
And this shift is about many things. The country's shifting.
This is Kenya's vision, the journey to development.
KBC is going to be the home to realize, to discuss, to share ideas about this shift and to know where our country is going.
We dissect the rumors. We clarify the perceptions. A clear picture of the status quo. Change is indeed here.
Everything is shifting.
The shift.
Usiwe mkali kwani ajui kupika kwa kuni. Music has always been a backbone in my life. I've always been in music even before I got into TV.
The main aim for this particular event is to promote unity through the Asian food.
This is what we call as nasi lemak, or it's coconut rice made of a coconut milk.
This is spring roll. We call this Shanghai or lumpia, and it's mixed with vegetables and tofu as a mix instead of meat, vegetarian friendly.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out.
Who's the man in this one?
And the laughter.
Hii wigi umevaa kichwani. Sisi wakati tulikuwa tunapishwa tunapewa mheshimiwa.
Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow. Yeah!
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yo, unaona sasa hiyo ng'ombe uko nayo ndio nataka nitoe kabisa. Nikuoshe.
Mata mulikuwa nataka tuoshe kweli maana maji moto kwani ni mtoto mdogo.
Of course. This is my baby.
Oh. Hakika tunge hakina elile mbona huku niambia ninakwambia uniangalilie nyuma unaniambia kocha. Nipeleke tu police station.
Unataka police station?
Abatari.
Wewe utajua hujui.
Mimi nakwambia siku hizo watu wana mixing rangi na computer. Magango rangi. Okay, where's the humidifier? Siwezi fanya hiyo kazi bwana. Kaa hapo bwana, ukanyali bwana.
Geuka kabisa na mwili yako yote. Ayaanza kwenda.
Wao unanifinya nini? Nini? Kakankyo.
Change is here.
And this shift is about many things. The country's shifting.
This is Kenya's vision, the journey to development.
KBC is going to be the home to realize, to discuss, to share ideas about this shift and to know where our country is going.
We dissect the rumors. We clarify the perceptions. A clear picture of the status quo. Change is indeed here.
Everything is shifting.
The shift.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
The young generation awakens on Y254, the leading youth TV station in Kenya. We treat you to current affairs, entrepreneurship, health, and human interest conversations.
It's art, it's culture.
Movies, gossip and trends, sports, drama.
We bring you a vibe like no other, straight to your living room.
To keep you informed, inspired, entertained, and most of all, refreshed.
We are such a vibe.
Y254. Imagine.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, is the mighty river Zambezi in southern Africa dying a natural death, or it is being driven to extinction by human activity? This is the big question that our reporter Judith Akolo seeks to answer in the following special report on River Zambezi.
River Zambezi is Africa's fourth longest river. The river and her tributaries serve as the lifeblood for millions of inhabitants of many countries in Southern Africa region, including Zambia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, Angola, part of DRC, Botswana, and Mozambique. River Zambezi, with its waterfall at Mosi Otonya, or the cloud that thunders, on the Zambia side, and Victoria Falls on the Zimbabwe side, has been a touristic marvel. Today, the once majestic river is slowing to a whimper, battered and dying a slow, painful death, and now on the brink of an ecological disaster.
Drying of the Zambezi really is a reflection of the vulnerabilities and risks that Zambia gets exposed to. And we recognize that there's need to diversify away from dependence on the vagaries of the weather.
The impacts of a drought arising from the El Nino Southern Oscillation ENSO that saw Eastern Africa drenched in rain and floods has caused a devastating drought in Southern Africa. The drought is threatening both ecosystem and the people who have relied on the river's resources for generations. Among the major threats to the existence of River Zambezi is deforestation in the catchment areas that feed the river, that travels over 2,400 kilometers and empties its waters into the Indian Ocean via the Mozambique Channel. The forests in the catchment areas have been felled to provide energy for cooking in form of firewood and charcoal for the region's inhabitants, whose levels of poverty have been rising.
We have to unpack, what do we mean by this ecosystem? Is it forests that have been run down due to developments that have been taking place? If it's forests that have been run down, how do you regenerate those forests? And if there's a risk for further degeneration in certain places, what measures are you putting in place in order to make sure that the exploitation of those forests is within the context of a sustainable approach?
This is compounded by the fast growth rate of the population that has led to an increase in consumption, hence the need to open up more areas for land on which to cultivate food crops and rear livestock. According to Dr. Gabriel Pollen, the Zambian National Coordinator for Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit, the country is now working on ensuring ecosystem restoration.
And coordinated urban development can interfere with the management of forests and the wetlands. So what we're seeing now in Zambia is that before you can actually build any structures, before you can undertake any large-scale investments, you have to go through the Zambia Environmental Management Authority to get a license.
In an interview on the sidelines of the just-ended 9th African Regional Platform for Disaster Risk held in Windhoek, Namibia, Dr. Pollen said that the government is building the capacity of the meteorological department in order to improve accuracy in early warning information so as to reduce the impacts of hydrometeorological disasters like the drought that is slowly draining River Zambezi of its water.
We harness the water when it hits the ground in terms of our food security. Can we build water resources management infrastructure focused on irrigation? So we need dams, we need technology for irrigation, but we also need energy that does not necessarily depend on hydro in order to support food security.
Perhaps the drying River Zambezi is a wake-up call to countries on the continent to begin to evaluate the possible ways of protecting shared resources like rivers and lakes for posterity.
What the current drought has taught us is how do you move away from depending on the vagaries of the weather, and that disaster management is everyone's responsibility, and we're calling upon the communities themselves to also show that they're responsible for their own safety, they're responsible for their own lives.
Judith Akolo, KBC, Channel 1.
Akolo, thank you for that report. Now to our top story this afternoon, Education Principal Secretary Dr. Belio Kipsang says the 4 suspects behind the Shines Boys High School murder that happened on Saturday night will write the rest of their Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examinations while in custody. Dr. Kipsang, while overseeing the opening of an examination container in Nakuru County, noted that a multi-agency team is probing the incident, the tragic incident that led to the death of a KCSE candidate identified as Vincent Ngugi, reported, of course, to be in disagreement about personal effects. Well, of course, we are trying to get more on that particular note. It is that developments that we've just received and will duly as the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education continues, and of course that is what we'll be telling you in our subsequent bulletins. And of course other stories we're keeping an eye on. Our very own reporter, that is Kamche Menza, is currently trending a dialogue on the health systems and ecosystem across the African continent. But in other news now, world leaders have started arriving in Baku, Azerbaijan for the official opening of the 29th edition of the Conference of Parties. More than 60,000 people from across the globe are attending the meeting, which is taking place in the Baku Olympic Stadium. The World Leaders Climate Action Summit, which is the highest level event of COP29, will take place later this week, where Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi is expected to address the meeting. We join O'Brien Kimani, who is in Baku, for more updates.
Broadcasting House, that's right. We are here at the COP29, which has been dubbed as the COP of finances. This is where critical climate decisions are going to be made in the next 10 or 12 days. And today is the official opening day. I talked to the Executive Director at the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance. This is Dr. Mithika Mwenda. And I asked him what he expects out of COP29. And this is what he told me.
Climate finance is a very important means of implementation because you need money to implement some of the things which have been agreed over time. For instance, the Paris Agreement on adaptation, Paris Agreement on mitigation, agreement on how to build resilience of communities at local level, smallholder farmers, pastoralist groups, those people who are affected by climate change. So they require massive resources. Yet these resources, poor countries like Kenya, which are abandoned by debts, are not able to raise that money. The conditions in this agreement is that we can be able to do that when we get international support. So that is why this finance is at the center of COP29. We expect that we have an agreement of a global agreement on climate finance. The one which we have been talking about, $100 billion US dollars, is expiring 2025. and we need targets on what need to be delivered post 2025. This is a global process. This is global solidarity. No one is safe from climate crisis. Whether you are the richest, like the US, by the way, they are not no longer the richest. We have other emerging economies. So we, as Africa, as Raila said in Addis Ababa, if they don't want to be our friends to support Africa, if they don't want to be our friends in solidarity to address climate crisis, because this cannot be done by an individual country, one region, one continent, then we'll have other friends. And you can see they are in abundance here.
Well, the issues of climate financing are likely to play a critical role, and of course the conversations around adaptation fund is also expected to come up here. We're going to be watching what is happening here, and of course we'll continue to give you coverage and of course updates on what's happening here in the city of Baku. Remember, this is the host of COP29. We are in Baku, the capital city of Azerbaijan, and my name is O'Brien Kimani. Back to you in Broadcasting House.
Well, thank you, Brian. Now to our other top story this afternoon is on the regional economic communities convene in Nairobi to dialogue on leveraging technologies to improve healthcare delivery in Africa. Now joining us is our very own Kamche Menza. Well, apologies for that. It seems we cannot get the sound of our very own Kamche Menza, but she is attending that particular convention. It is day one. We wanted to hear about what was happening during day one. You can see her clearly, but the sound lets us fix that, and then we get back to her. Now, elsewhere, Baringo County government has embarked on training the youth on digital innovation and digital economy in a bid to address the barriers to digital transformation. Baringo Governor Benjamin Cheboy says that the upcoming Baringo Investment Conference will provide an opportunity for the youth to network and explore solutions facing entrepreneurs in the digital sector.
Hindering the digital transformation of Kenya's economy. To address these, proper strategies are required to aid in overcoming those barriers and lead towards the digital transformation of the economy. Baringo County is set to roll out a training program for the youth during the Baringo Investment Conference. Cheboy says the county will partner with TVET centers to offer digital innovation training for 300 youth.
During the two-day event, 300 youth about or over will be trained both from the business environment and from our TVET institutions from within the county on various skills, including embracing digital innovation in business, digital information as a skill set for the workforce, data and cybersecurity, and the digital economy, among other key sectors.
Slated for this Thursday to Friday, Cheboy says the county will partner with TVET centers to offer digital innovation training for 300 youth.
To motivate them to come out with their ideas so that they should not say there is no employment. Employment is there. We want just to motivate their ideas and promote their ideas and show them how they can run business well. I want to tell the youth of this county that the idea they have is more important than the money they are looking for.
He says the move will help challenge the youth to overcome unemployment through innovation. Frederick Moki for Lunchtime News.
Now back to our very own Kamche Menza, who's currently attending a regional economic communities who have convened in Nairobi for dialogue on leveraging emerging technologies to improve healthcare delivery systems in Africa. Kamche, if you can hear me, good afternoon. What have you been able to gather on day one?
Well, apologies. Well, apologies for that technical hitch, but we shall continue with Dr. Rose Oronje, who will, of course, continue to, inform us on how these emerging technologies, she mentioned of drones, she mentioned of telemedicine and more other tools. And she's also saying that Africa is still facing a huge challenge in such kind of diseases. Earlier on, I had spoken to her and she said the population of African continent is only 18%, but in terms of diseases, we are actually at 25%. So what exactly can the African continent do? There are the emerging technologies which can be taken advantage of, but are we as African continent really taking advantage of that? Karibu, Dr. Rose. Maybe kindly, sorry for that technical hitch, continue on how we can leverage on the emerging technologies.
Thank you very much. So in terms of how we can leverage these emerging technologies, just to note that already countries are doing something. So we're not saying that countries are not doing anything. Like I said, Rwanda is already using drones to deliver blood to remote regions. Ghana is also doing the same, using drones to deliver medical products to various regions of the country, so that rural communities that have no access to health facilities are being reached. Now, what we are talking about in this meeting is about scaling, so that some of these pilots we are having in different countries can be scaled to benefit more people. There are mainly three things that countries need to do. One of them is to put in place policy and regulatory frameworks, because some of these technologies are new and the existing frameworks do not provide guidance for them on how they should be used. And so countries are here talking about what actions do they need to reform their policies, to put in place new regulatory frameworks for them to be able to harness these tools at scale. When we think about artificial intelligence tools, for instance, there's the big issue of privacy. People are saying all this information, you have it available. How is it being used? And yet it's information about my personal health, And so countries need to put in place regulatory frameworks to ensure that even as we harness these AI tools, we harness telemedicine, even as we use drones, that we are protecting privacy of people and respecting culture. The other things, apart from policies, the other thing is investing. Putting in our own money. As we've just been discussing in the last session about the fact that a lot of these initiatives on the continent are being funded externally. Now that means we can't sustain this, which means when the donor funding ends, then these ideas end, these efforts end. And so we need to start putting in our own money. We need to start putting in these monies incrementally, the different governments to start investing in this incrementally over time so that we can own these efforts and ensure to sustain them over time. The final thing is just ensuring that we create awareness among the communities, because these technologies are benefiting communities. In some cases, we've had communities questioning, why are drones flying over our communities? Like, what are these? So just creating awareness among communities for them to see the value of these technologies, but also for them to learn about them. And actually, once they are clear on what they are, they can even hold their governments to account, asking them to invest in these technologies for them to be able to benefit them and improve lives on the continent.
Currently, the African continent has seen the emergence of the Marburg and the Mpox. From where you sit, how do you as a health expert, or what do you expect health experts to deal with such a health challenge?
So, Marburg and Mpox are, of course, ongoing, not pandemics, I think ongoing epidemics in the region. And part of what we are discussing in this session actually is how can we, as the regions, harness these technologies to enable real-time sharing of data? Because with these epidemics, these outbreaks, you really need to be able to share data across different countries real-time. And so some of the issues that have been discussed by leaders from the different countries is how they're using these technologies to enable real-time sharing of data so that we can contain the epidemics within specific regions. So that is important in terms of how do you harness these technologies, mobile phones, gathering of data and sharing it real time. How do you harness that to enable the efforts going on to contain the ongoing epidemics in the region? I think the other thing is really about, again, investments. In terms of how can the regions own some of this. The issue with outbreaks, the good thing with outbreaks, that often whenever they happen, a lot of development partners come in, to support, because then this poses a challenge across the borders. But the reality is that for us, we shouldn't wait for epidemics, for outbreaks. If we're investing ourselves, it means we are driving the tracking of different things changing within the communities, and we are able to prevent outbreaks than waiting for them to happen and then funders come in to help us.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Rose. But before I leave, allow me to engage. This is Karibu Sana. Karibu to Kenya. Just stand here and face the camera. Maybe from the regional, of course, from the regional issues that are affecting the region. We've had the aspect of the Kenyan aspect, but from the regional aspect, that is the African aspect. How is the situation? Is the situation that bad that we need now to leverage on the emerging technologies?
Number one, we first need to understand that we are in the fourth industrial revolution, and being in the fourth industrial revolution, knowledge will be leading us. And when we talk in terms of knowledge, not only simple education, so we focus mainly on research and experimental development. And also, on top of that, we have to add innovation. We are not preaching the linear model where saying if we invest in research, we have to have innovation, because innovation can still occur without research. So what is happening nowadays is that we need to catch up as Africa. So we don't need just being there, being the victim, saying that all the diseases are coming from Africa. We have a capability. We have the possibility. We have the natural endowment. So what we need to do is to make sure that all our countries still focus mainly on research to address societal problem. Health is most of the key aspect. When it comes to Human Development Index, we have life expectancy. It's linked to health. We have income. We have the issue of literacy. And for your information, we have 33 countries on the continent. Out of the 55, they are least developed countries, and we need to change that narrative to move to the middle-income countries. So it means that as we are the African Union, we have a vision known as Agenda 2063, and in that vision, we have to support based on our various sectoral aspects. So in the current 10-year implementation plan, we need to use our science, technology, and innovation strategy to change the narrative, focusing on emerging technologies and to address problems that we have in the field, in the sector of health. So on top of that as well, we are now in this nexus where we don't have only science, technology, and innovation on the one hand, but we need to add also health and put everything together. So we can no longer work in silo. So what we are doing today is to involve regional economic communities. There are 8 here with us. Some are represented virtually. So the intention is in integrating the continent, we need to work with RECs, at least by the time they go to work with countries, because we have a collective responsibility to accelerate the implementation of what we are doing in terms of emerging technology. So that's what we are doing, and we believe, as we finish this meeting, that this is not the first time and the last time. We continue working with them and involving also other stakeholders. So the situation is not so bad, but we need to work together.
Again, from where you sit, have you tried and evaluate the countries, the countries in the African continent who have already adopted some of the emerging technologies, and maybe how far they have gone with, and what are the challenges they face in even trying to fully implement the ET?
Very excellent question. I'll be very brief on that. We have several emerging technology, but for your information, artificial intelligence is one of them. And recently, our head of state and government, especially through the African Union Special Technical Committee on infrastructure, they did adopt the artificial intelligence strategy. So what we have to do now to allow our countries to domesticate that strategy, or to align that continental strategy to their own national strategy. If they don't have, we have to support them, is our responsibility. And also regional economic community to do the same thing. We need to put that continental strategy in our regional one, and to also consider aspects related to ethics in the utilization of those emerging technology, as well as the governance of it, because we are also handling data.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
That was really informative, and that is something that, of course, different countries need to embrace and fully embed in their healthcare system. Issues that have come up there, you realize that there's the issue of finance, there's the issue of political goodwill, there's the issue of also sensitization to the public, there's also the issue of, scaling the whole system, and also there is the issue of trying to accept that there is new technology, and of course that is the technology that will help us get out of, let's say, poverty and also the diseases that are affecting most of the African countries. That is what is happening here, but I'll now hand it over back to you in studio, Abdi.
Thank you so much, Kamsha Menz, and of course you'll duly inform us in our subsequent bulletins on other measures that have been taken by the experts and the regional masters that have convened here in the capital to address those health issues within the continent. Elsewhere, conservationists and tourism stakeholders have launched ecotourism sustainable recovery initiatives aimed at promoting Malindi as a green and clean tourist destination. The move seeks to ensure beaches and towns are kept clean of plastic waste to prevent pollution that threatens the marine's ecosystem.
Eco-friendly travel is gaining traction, and the efforts in Malindi Beach are attracting tourists from across Europe. Increased tourist arrivals mean more business for local vendors, restaurants and artisans, while creating job opportunities in hospitality, tour guiding and other service sectors.
We have put in market strategies to attract our local residents to come and visit Malindi, and especially to come to our hotel, Diamonds Malindi. And it's very promising. We see the booking coming in. We have huge conference facilities in our hotel as well.
And we are on holidays here.
Nice, very nice, beautiful.
Environmental conservation is a key component with direct benefits for local livelihoods. By keeping Malindi's beaches clean, the initiative helps preserve marine ecosystems, which support the local fishing industry, a vital source of income for many families. Ntindi Kasim, senior warden of Malindi Marine National Park, emphasized the connection between a healthy marine environment and sustainable tourism.
We have a lot of creatures here who depend on the marine resource, the habitats, but when we have a lot of trash, then it ends up affecting the marine life.
With more tourists drawn to Malindi eco-friendly reputation, the initiative is expected to increase demand for locally made products, services and experiences, generating income and sustainable job opportunities for residents.
And on the international front, the price of Bitcoin has risen above $80,000 for the first time ever after Donald Trump's decisive victory in the U.S. presidential election last week. On the campaign trail, the president-elect pledged to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the planet. Here are the details of this and other stories making headlines across the globe.
The value of Bitcoin, which is the world's biggest cryptocurrency, has now risen by more than 80% this year. Other cryptocurrencies, including Dogecoin, which has been promoted by high-profile Trump supporter Elon Musk, are also making gains. In the run-up to the election, Trump said he would create a strategic Bitcoin stockpile and appoint digital asset-friendly financial regulators, spurring expectations that he would strip back regulations on the crypto industry. Meanwhile, Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has signed into law a bill lowering corporate income tax rates and granting more fiscal incentives to qualified companies in a move aimed at enticing foreign investors to do business in the country. Despite being one of Asia's fastest-growing economies, the Philippines has lagged in the region, attracting foreign direct investment because of foreign ownership restrictions, high power costs, and poor infrastructure. Finally, India's Financial Crime Agency will summon Flipkart and Amazon executives as it steps up an investigation into alleged foreign investment law violations days after raiding some of the e-commerce farm sellers. The planned action signals growing regulatory scrutiny of Walmart-owned Flipkart and Amazon when their sales are rapidly growing in India's $70 billion e-commerce market. An Indian antitrust investigation also found the two companies breached laws by favoring select sellers. Amazon and Flipkart have maintained they comply with Indian laws, but the Enforcement Directorate has for years been investigating allegations the companies, through the select sellers, exert control over inventory of goods. Indian laws prohibit foreign e-commerce players from holding inventory of goods they can sell on their website, forcing them to only operate a marketplace of sellers. Winslaus Pamba for Lunchtime News.
Now, a farmer in Makueni County has embraced traditional farming and modern science to boost food production and protect extinction of plant and animal species. Now, Bendeta Chegom has shifted the agroecological farming at a time when the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction has painted a grim picture of nearly 30% biodiversity loss owing to poor land use. Biodiversity loss contributes to the release of nitrous oxide, also known as a laughing gas, a harmful greenhouse gas that depletes the ozone layer and exposes the earth to solar radiation. Our reporter Pichachem Tai toured her farm and brings us the details of how Bendeta is laughing her way to the bank and why the emission of the laughing gas into the atmosphere is no joke.
In the midst of the vast, dry, sun-coached land lies Benedetta Kiengo's farm in Kwamiyu village, Makueni County. The thriving farm is a contrast to the bare, plowed land with the dusty red soil next to her farm. Her farm is flourishing. It portrays careful stewardship, sustainability, and the possibilities that emerge when innovation and nature work hand in hand. It is a testament of human ingenuity and the resilience of nature.
With diversity comes instability. So if we have 80 species, let's say a drought comes, so maybe 10 species are affected. We still have 70 that we depend on, either for food or for commercial purposes.
Benedetta Kiengo, the founder of Feedback to the Future, goes into details to explain to us the secret behind her lushy green farmland.
If you look at the system itself, we have paths. We've dug canals that are holding water, and also at the same time we cover the soil, so to reduce the evapotranspiration, and at the same time we intensively plant together, which also helps increase the rate of photosynthesis in the system.
Where we stand, the land was degraded. If you can see the previous photos, there was no vegetation growing. So through continuous mulching and application of compost, you see that now things are thriving. So the preparation that we do, mostly we add a lot of manure, a lot of ashes, and charcoal dust.
She reveals that her approach of farming combines food production with forest ecosystems, building up soil in a way that mimics natural processes.
With that, we are helping to create a permanent system that eventually will not have to rely on water.
Whenever we do the digging, you disturb that balance because you bring all the microorganisms that are living in the soil on top. And then on top you have the sun, which is, when exposed to the sun, they die. The soil dries up because they can't thrive in dry soil.
No pesticides, pruning or uprooting plants is required.
When you look at the normal forest, no one digs the soil. The crops are thriving. There's a lot of biodiversity. No one does any weeding. No one is putting in fertilizers. And everything, the whole system is balanced.
Her success is not without thorns. She's forced to grapple with the challenge posed by neighboring farms who use pesticides, and when the wind blows, it poses a challenge.
So some of it will be blown our way. We can't just put a wall, we say, like we're going to put a barrier. We've tried to plant trees along the fence with our neighbors so that at least not much of it comes our side.
The farm's success hinges on a network of irrigation channels powered by solar pumps that supplies water from a nearby 70-meter deep borehole. The borehole supplies up to 40,000 liters of water daily to the farm.
The solar system for us is very efficient because it can pump water like 600 meters away from the source. And at the same time, we don't even have to pay electricity bills. So this is like a game changer for us.
Additionally, she has invested in seed saving to preserve traditional and heirloom varieties of crops that adapt to the local environment with the aid of solar energy.
This whole thing about reintroducing GMO seeds, so they're actually affecting the food production. So in Kenya, it's really, at the moment, unless you really, you're in the network of people who know where to get the organic seeds, it's really, really getting difficult.
Africa Head of Air Quality at World Resource Institute, Dr. George Mwaniki, expressed the urgent need to embrace agroecology.
The biggest source, I would say more than 90% of N2O comes from the biological processes. If you want to produce food for the short term, for a big population, then you can use the chemicals, while the impact for that is going to be detrimental in the environment. But if you want to produce a lot of food for a lot of people for a very long time, then you go to regenerative agriculture.
Mwaniki says that once the gas commonly referred to as laughing gas is released to the atmosphere, it is no longer a laughing matter as it destroys the ozone layer and cannot be controlled.
Two of them, climate, 300 times more effective, and then the destruction of the ozone layer. And with the ozone layer being destructed, then the UV rays are able to reach us and hit our skin, and that is one of the biggest causes of skin cancer.
Additionally, Moniki has cautioned farmers against use of conventional agricultural system.
When you go and eat ugali from the local farmers who use a lot of chemicals, you actually notice that ugali is a little bitter. It has some level of chemical infusion into it. And what this means, in the next 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to see the cases for cancer starting to rise.
The threat of the laughing gas into the atmosphere is no joke, and there is need to encourage more farmers to embrace modern science to boost food security while at the same time protect the environment.
What you can see behind me is regenerative agriculture, a method that not a lot of farmers have adopted, yet it conserves environment as well as they can mint food out of it. Opicho Chemtai reporting for Channel 1 News from Makueni County.
And now finally, welcome to the world of sports. We start off in Europe, where Pedro Neto salvaged a point for Chelsea when he netted a 70th minute equaliser that saw them draw 1-1 with Arsenal in an entertaining Premier League match played at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea are now 9 points behind league leaders Liverpool, while Arsenal, who have not won their past 5 games in all competitions, are 4th on the table. Well, of course, the English Premier League is taking a break, given that it is an international break this weekend. Of course, there is a fever that is currently ongoing within the EPL. Even the champions themselves, Manchester City, have lost 4 matches in a row. That marks the end of our bulletin this afternoon. My name is Abdiaziz. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Lucy Mora. Do join us in our subsequent bulletins for more updates. Good afternoon.
Umeshindwa kumlea. Wako utaliaje? Huyu mpe mwenzake atashika adabu. Mvunjaji wa nyumba za watu. Sherehe ni muhimu wakati wa shida. Manake hii sherehe ndio iko pale kulanisha roho. Umenifahamu?
Kusikia umeenda kuuropo kwa hili jambo kwingine. Ndio utajua sira simba mchungu.
Ni mimi. Baba alinieleza mengi sana kuhusu Pete.
Mengi yapi?
Did you suddenly wake up with your brain?
Julia, I might not have the best, but I have the brains. Plus, I am a wife material compared to you nonsense.
Atito, you have already forgotten how Farah here helped you with the same problem just the other day.
Ati, he said thank you. Farah, it sounds like utalalia sante kama mattress.
Julia, so all your friends are pregnant?
Chakula baridi. That is ultimate revenge. Speaking of cold foods,
Thank
Thank you for joining us on Healthy Living. Stay connected to Voice of America at voanews.com.
A look at your kidneys and how they impact your health. And an expert discusses chronic kidney disease and how to protect yourself.
And Ivorian psychologist Noor Bakayoko shares some insights on bullying and what can be done.
It's important to avoid major events or major health crises.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well
and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Friday night again. Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
I never heard the music so sweet. I repeat.
Well, go on, my brethren, big things are going. Remember, each and every Monday we have to shell down the place with nothing but the best of smooth way the vibes in your favorite station. You know these things, man.
Alafu kila Tuesday, kata simu tupo side, giving you Kenyan music from the 254.
And of course, you can spice up your Wednesday by enjoying blazing hot hip-hop and R&B jams.
We don't got no label. She says she want bottles.
Vibes and vibes as we go all across Africa, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, all the way to Tanzania to give you nothing but the best on Afro Thursday. Make sure you make a date with us each and every single Friday with me, DJ_Liza Diva,
DJ Cold,
and me, Wanjiko. This is Club One Extra.